I love that countdown, Gary. It's almost as if we were on Dakar and we were starting a stage. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vamos, senor. Rola.
And off we went.
And off we went. So,
Good afternoon, Colin.
how are you?
I'm very well.
Good. I'm also good.
Okay.
Are you panicking again?
No, I'm just doing something like this.
Gary's sweating a little bit. He's
Yeah.
got a couple of activities with. He has to multitask. Don't forget this one as well, Gary, because that would be really cool if you can do it. I didn't turn it off. So welcome and good afternoon to day one of racing of Dakar 2019. It is here, it has happened, it has started. It is magnificent. This is the 50th episode of Wave Yellow. Gary, well done. Congratulations, you survived me for 50 episodes.
The ultimate 50 has arrived, has it?
Yeah, Gary survived me. It has not been easy, because some people call me, well, they call me many things, but I can get tetchy is apparently the
Tetchy?
tetchy.
Okay.
Effing irritable is one of the others, but it's a family show, so we won't go down there. When we say Dakar has started, what do we mean? They're 7 hours behind us. The bikes have entered the stage. They actually are racing, and the cool thing about the bikes is that they're running in reverse order, and the fastest guys go at the end at the end of the bikes.
Yeah.
But Gary, for the cars, they run in seeding order or number order.
Seating
So-
order would be from
Well,
the
it's number order.
last Dakar?
Well,
Well,
that's
the
the
yeah.
number that they've
Alright.
got. So Stefan Hansel will open the stage, and he's in car 300. Car 301 is Nasser Al Attiyah. And what have the cars right now, what's happening is that they have arrived at the start of the stage, or in Dakar speak, the depart of the stage, DSS. For those of you who follow the live timing, if you go to iLab, you can find some timing there. It's a hybrid with some added value on it. So they depart on the special stage at run about 2 minutes to 7 tonight is the first car.
Correct,
our time.
yes. Yeah.
So we're 7 hours ahead of Peru. So the cars will have arrived there, and they're starting to get ready. Now we'll talk about that, about what they're doing to get ready. But going on a more human level, Rob Howie is doing he's Mini Glyn on this race, and he's got some logistics issues. He's
Now,
and responsibilities.
just as I asked that.
And we spoke to him.
Yeah. No, and just update a couple of people that may be new as to why we brought Rob Howie in.
Well,
he
Rob
had
is-
that horrible
No,
crash.
well,
Not a crash.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't such a horrible crash. It was a relatively minor crash,
Yeah.
but it was the 5th crash, and the 5th impact on his back. And I think he talks about it in the first part of the interview.
Correct.
And so he made a decision not to stop racing now, instead of to stop racing in 3 years' time. So then what to do with Rob? So Rob then, Glyn values Rob. He has a lot of experience. He's a world-renowned and very respected co-driver. Co-driver as opposed to navigator. Co-driver's got a lot more role to do other than navigating. The navigator tells the navigation part of the function, tells a guy where to go. The other functions that they've got, Gary, is the like the management of the cockpit, management of the car, and all the admin. So when we spoke to Glyn, he mentioned to give the driver and the co-driver the tools to do the job. So the co-driver's responsibility is to take off all the roles off the driver. So Gary, in the words that I always say to you, check my eyes.
Focus.
So the driver can focus on driving the car and moving it as fast as possible from the beginning of the stage to the end. So all the admin, all the rest of it, and Rob has got a lot of logistics, a lot of work to do with the rest of the team. Take that admin responsibility.
Correct.
That he learned and did so well in the car, and to apply it. So if our clever people, we've got
Just
we've got a
before-
whole lot of tiny little people
Yeah.
sitting in boxes in the
yeah,
background.
and we send little packets. We make them run up and down the tubes to deliver us things. But just before you carry on, something else which also comes up in the interview because we talk about it. Rob is also a renowned fabricator within
Speed.
Hall Speed, which is and he actually does a lot of the fabrication of the chassis, etc., etc. But I think we'll leave that, and we've got something from that we did shoot earlier on in the year, which we can actually show them what it's about. And I don't know if you want to discuss it now. We leave it for that.
No, let's listen to Rob, because
Okay.
I think that a lot of what he says is the preparation. They haven't started racing yet, guys. So we're at just after 6 o'clock South African time.
Yeah.
The cars, the bikes have. And let's not forget we've got 3 South Africans in the bikes. and
Correct.
We haven't forgotten about them. We respect the bikes. There's KTMs, there's Yamahas. Is there a Suzuki on there, Gary?
No, not.
There should be, because Suzukis are magnificent bikes.
We're going there again.
We're going there.
Can we leave that one for after the show?
I like Suzuki.
Okay.
So no, that's just because I think some of the stuff they do is so good. So Husqvarna,
Yeah.
which is a rebadged KTM, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. Oh, okay.
It's like a Mini
Yeah,
is a
can I-
rebadged BMW.
correct. And let's leave that. Just,
Right. So are we ready to play, Rob?
just-
No,
just-
don't go yet. The guys in the box, the little cameraman,
Yeah, just
we'll
hold.
count you down.
Okay,
You
fine,
counted
okay.
us down. We're going to count you down.
George Fitzgerald's joining us tonight. How are you guys? Matthew Hodges, nice to have you. Richard Weeks, Brad, Brett Robinson, Brad Drew, all you guys on there, and all you guys those nice kind words. Thanks again. Afternoon to all of you. We're going to go to the interview. So if
No, not yet. I just
not-
want to say to George.
okay. To George,
I saw I did some. You know how one goes down
memory lane.
the tubes of the branch of getting into YouTube. And I saw some footage of George at Le Mans in a 956 Porsche and then a 962 Porsche, and the Trust Porsche. And back in the day, those things were quick.
Yeah.
Admire you again. That was the one car when I was a kid. Even when I was not such a kid, I really, really, really wanted to drive that car.
I have a question for you.
Yes, Gary, what's your question?
You've raced a couple of things. Now, I know at one stage you were racing, maybe not in the same class as the car that George Fisher was in, but you were racing a similar type of a car, i.e.
It's called a C2.
a C2. Was that in the same races that George was in, or was that after or before?
I never raced against George.
No, but I mean, were you on the track at the same time as that class? That's where I'm coming from. Or did the C2s run their own thing
No,
altogether?
the last race at the old Kyalami was a C2 only race.
Okay.
But the weekend before that was a C1, C2, and there where you've got 956 Rothman's Porsche come steaming past you down the straight. And then, because they ground effect and they were running fuel economy races, all the people who, you know what's so funny, Gary? They bitch and moan about Formula 1. Oh, they're in fuel saving mode.
Yeah.
But then they turn around and say, oh, the racing should be like 956s and in that era, C1s. But
Yes.
that was the ultimate fuel economy racing.
Yeah.
So what the FIA did, and sorry we digress, but this is such a cool thing. Think about this for a minute. The FIA said, guys, the only rule you've got is that there was a minimum weight, okay, number one. And number two, you can use 100 kilograms of 100 liters at that time an hour. That's it. Your fuel tank can't be bigger than 100 liters. That was for a C1. For a C2 car, I think it was 80 liters. And then the variety of stuff came on. So they used to use a bucket load of fuel. You use fuel to go from, let's say, 295 k's an hour at Kyalami, 295 to 305, that last 10 kilometers, you use a bucket load of fuel, but you don't gain a lot of time. So the 956, I was in a BMW powered thing, a non-ground effect thing, it went bolted like smoke down the straight. It was
I'm glad you got the smoke correct.
It was for fast. It sounded glorious. Didn't handle. And we were about 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower than a 956. But they would come past you down the straight and then lift off because they now reached the fuel consumption number.
Yeah.
And then you'd pass them under the bridge going towards
Okay.
Crowthorne, and then either I wasn't brave enough or the car wasn't good enough. I'm going to blame the car. And so you climb on the brakes at about the 75-meter mark in the C2 car without ground effects. That's my excuse. And the 956 just comes past you, brrr, to 50 meters, and they clop the brakes and go around the corner. It was a long time ago in a world far, far away.
So let's get back
let's
to
go and listen to, in a world closer to us. Last week we spoke to Robert in Roger Pierce's Aladdin's Cave workshop. There may have been it was a great conversation. So if our production guys, our creative director and content manager are ready, they can do their stuff.
Oh, they can play that video.
And do you think they're going to do it, Gary?
Yeah.
This is a testament to communications.
Guys, let's have the video,
Because I
please.
know, they're doing it. I know they'll cut the mic when it starts rolling, because it's Christmas Eve. It's raining. It's hot. We're around an old car. I'm standing with not an old guy, Robert Howie. Thanks a lot for allowing us to intrude on Christmas Eve and giving us your time before you fly off to Dakar. For those of you, we recorded this on Christmas Eve. You're going to see it when Rob is over there. And you're off to Dakar, but sadly not as a co-driver.
Yeah, this time due to injury, I have to go and help Glenn manage the team rather than be a competitor. So I must say the last week I've been on the south coast of Natal, and I'm a lot more calm than I was last year this time.
Well, Pennington says, thanks for leaving. It's gone back to normal, although some of the beer sales are rather down. Rob, what are you going to do at Dakar, and talk us through, okay, first of all, your injury. You don't look like you're injured, but it's a deep-seated issue that if you have something unexpected, you could end up paralyzed, and you chose your kids over another couple of years racing a car.
Well, I guess in reflection, I've injured myself four times in the last 10 years. And compound fractures it's a co-driver's I guess a common injury, and I've had, I guess, 4 too many. And this year in Qatar, when I eventually was able to see an MRI scan or go to a hospital, they said to me, you need to stop or you're not going to be able to walk. And yes, I've chosen to rather walk. And
it's that part about growing up that, I mean, we're not all kids anymore. And it's cool to see I suppose the maturity. You've done 7 Dakars. You've driven with a number of other drivers. We'll talk about those later. But you now enter a new part of your career, motorsport management.
Well, I guess, how can you be a manager if you don't have any background in the sport? Whether you be a race engineer who turns team owner, or whether you be an ex-co-driver or a ex-fabricator, you need to understand the sport, So for me, I'm lucky to be involved on the ground and building cars and what have you, but I chose to explore. I love traveling, and I took co-driving not trying to be the world's best co-driver. I just found myself a gap, and I did it. And because of that, I've put myself in a situation where I've had some success, and I'm in a position now to offer I guess my insight and my energy and my experience back to the team.
So we're here in Roger Pierce's, what he kindly calls the shed, and you basically came to drink beer and just have a catch up before Christmas, and we'll talk about this quite a magnificent beast here. But go back to Dakar and your role as sort of an intermediary. I gather from what you were talking about, you going to be Glenn's right-hand man and manage drivers, manage some of the information flow that comes out of them, and give them better feedback so that give Gazoo Racing a better chance of winning.
Dakar's a big race, it's about managing everything. So if you were, I guess, in that first one of the first Terry Sabine races in 1980. You would be in a Peugeot 504. You would have packed some cheese, some crackers, and a bottle of wine, and you head off to Dakar. You know, the race is different now.
Yeah.
The race is very professional. There's lots of money spent, and the Dakar organisation, it grows because of there's all this involvement. So the team is big. Toyota Gazoo Racing is a big team. They put effort in, and of course they want results.
And it's been a long time that results haven't been coming. So you know, the pressure's got to be on.
Of course it is, you know. But this is like Le Mans. You don't say I'm going to place first or second or third. You have to wait.
Yeah.
Le Mans 24 hours, and Toyota eventually won, you know, last year or this year. I beg your pardon. But
by the time people watch it, it will be last year. Just imagine like a DeLorean in the future, and it's difficult, Rob, but you'll get with it. There's butterflies in my head. It's freaking awesome because sometimes the mind just jumps around.
As long as they aren't DeLoreans, you'll be okay. But going back to the Dakar, if you don't have the driver on the day, the co-driver, the team, the right amount of everything, it's a very difficult balance to get right. And the closer you get, the more experience you have. And if you understand the race, I think that's when the results come. You know? So
you've got a driver, let's say he comes in and he's complaining about an issue on the car. I don't know, maybe diff hot, the dash is flashing at him. He's got a hot diff, and because drivers they're just worried about themselves in a lot of ways, not so much about the whole team effort. How do you manage and prioritize the workload that gets done on the car? Because you can't just do the one thing. There's a whole bunch of things to do. So talk us through at the end of a day. Guy comes in, he's maybe rabbiting a little bit and not so happy. What do you do?
Well, you can't race with a hot diff, can you?
Well, I don't know.
No, well, you can't. So you're not going to be successful with something that is wrong. Maybe a oil cooler's broken, or there's some sand blocking something. So you need to have the mechanical parts right. You need to have, somebody can be a little bit nauseous or a bit fluey, you know. You need to be perfect on the day. So the mechanical side, the car side. I've all my success and all my racing has been in a Toyota, and they are, I guess, cars that I'm involved in building, so I know how good they are. But if they're not perfect, which we can do, but if the co-driver and driver aren't perfect, you won't have a good day. You know, if you've got a co-driver who's ill, he can't read the notes. And this year in particular, most of the race is all in sand dunes. You know, so anybody who's
do you get motion sickness in the sand dunes up and down?
Not at all. I've never had motion sickness in any, and I'm lucky because I've raced with some people who really battle with it. I know people who can't even go on a boat without getting sick.
But now, just talking about that, you mentioned motion sickness, and that talks directly to Matthew Baumel last year when he was feeling so sick, and he was tense. And in that tenseness, whatever it is, you kind of forget some of the stuff you got to do. How do you, as now sitting outside the car, how do you remind the guys, coach the guys, keep them focused?
I think that's exactly what it is. You know, if you're not on the best on your day, then you don't play. Whether you played tennis or golf or anything, if you're ill or feeling uncomfortable, you don't do it. And the anxiety is one thing, you know, there's lots of stress. A co-driver is blessed with the responsibility of finding the way. And I remember saying to someone a few years ago, you know, the driver can go as fast as he like in the wrong direction. We're not going to go anywhere. So I think there's a balance between that. Matthew was ill, whether he had, you know, he probably chose a pasta or something just to have a quick meal before he left. But I think that day they also chose to open the road. So the anxiety is definitely there. You know.
Look, this is not an easy adventure. It is. What is your anxiety? This is a new role for you. You're a bit like a duck, in that you appear all calm and chilled and collected on the outside, but I know you're paddling underneath. What issues are you paddling?
Well, I guess if you're going to offer a new service to the team, which is also something new. So I don't know really. I have an idea what I want to do, but I also don't want to let them down. But I can promise you that my responsibility as a co-driver was a lot more stressful than now. Now I can look in reflection and offer my opinion, or at least help where I can see they need help. But the stress that I'm used to is not as much as it used to be.
So, Rob, hopefully will, now that you're in a different role, you'll be able to feed us some information. We're going to be doing our weekly or daily Dakar stuff, and it'll be really good to touch base with you. But now, this car that we've got here, this is South Africa's version of... Oh, by the way, good luck.
Thank you very much.
It's an interesting couple of first days when the whole senior management group is there, and when the senior management group settles down, I think it can get better. So we're sitting. This car is South Africa's version of a Lister Jag, but there's not. You just didn't come to visit Roger. You've got a piece of this car in it. What did you do? Roger, come and talk to us.
I actually joined Roger for a beer because my father had a twin choke SU carburetor that was on his shelf for many years, and since my dad passed away, the carburetor I felt belonged in Roger's garage, not in
Never thought I'd get it back.
in the storeroom at home.
Sold it somewhere in Dakar.
So, Rog, what's the connection between Robert and this car?
And this car?
Yeah.
As a young budding engineer, I was looking around for somebody to help me with a roll cage. And long before his Toyota days and so forth, but having known him as a bump in his mother's stomach. So he made the phone call. There you have it, the back over there. How he built roll cage. Huh?
Rob, was that your first roll cage you did?
No, it wasn't, but it was in transition between working for a chap, Nick Jooster, who is a wonderful fabricator and artist who lives in Malindi at the moment, and I had a wonderful couple of years spell with him, but he decided to move to Dubai, and Stuart Thompson and I were friendly at the time, and we were working out of his dad's workshop at the time, and Roger wanted a roll cage. I think at the time Roger was involved with the FIA, so there was a big move to bring safety into South African motor racing, you know, so he wanted a roll cage for this Henning Jaguar.
So, Roger, the safety part, you know, we a lot of it gets overblown, and people talk about MSA getting too nitpicky about safety.
They do.
But the stuff has got to be right and real.
That just depends on how much you value your own head. So if you want to go and race with a 500 Rand helmet, you do that.
Do you think it should be rather sort of more natural selection? If you're a bit doff and you want to race with other stuff, motor racing is dangerous, and we remove the doff from the gene pool?
But this is an argument that goes on day in and day out, from Formula One through to off-road racing. I think it's the right way, that the authorities have to lay down the rules.
But not too...
Yes, it's difficult. We don't know where that common ground is.
Now,
for example, that front hub over there, I believe is not safe, but it came out like that in 1957. But maybe because I got older now, that hub's going to change on the outside, where the spoke wheel fits.
So you think that's not safe, but if you bolt it on a pair of nice sticky radial slicks, it might have an issue. But if you're running period crossbar tires, it could be good.
That'd be perfect. That's one of the problems with old car racing in this country, is that the first thing you've got to do is try and make them go faster. And old crossbar tires like these is what you need. Makes it interesting.
Should we mandate on period cars, history racing, that you got to run crossbars?
No, they're far too expensive for the average car that runs an old Escort or something like that. The cost of these things is ludicrous. As far as club racing, I'm a big exponent of club racing.
Before we go on that, explain to, we've got a worldwide audience of probably, it's like millions,
Really?
Roger. It's like mega.
Must be on the net there.
So, yeah, explain the
You know Gary van der Spek?
tell you what, the guy's awesome. My production department knows him, the cameraman knows him a little bit, but sometimes he's like, woo. Explain a little bit about the fundamental difference between a radial tyre and a cross-ply tyre, and why it's so. We watch racing from years gone by, and we see the cars sideways, and now we see them on rails. Explain that in its simplicity.
Okay, it has very little to do whether it's a cross-ply or a radial. They make cross-ply tyres which will way outstick a radial ply tyre. It depends on the suspension setup and all that you're using. For example, this car's got an independent back suspension, so the right thing for this thing is the radial. Now, all the cars that I've raced with a solid beam axle in the back, the right thing is a cross-ply casing. What the rubber and tread compound is, that's another story. And in fact, when we were winning championships in an MGB with a beam axle at the back, on advice from Dunlop, we quickly changed over to cross-ply pliers, and we went much quicker.
So you could essentially run a more angle.
The tyre construction depends on your suspension construction.
So, Rob, just that brings us back to the tyre developments for Dakar and on your new trucks. Last year there was a whole issue around, sources say, some say, that there was an issue around testing and spec of tyre and all the rest of it. That's all been sorted, and you've got the latest BF Goodrich, and life is good with the tyres.
I think it's fair to say that Walter Owen Bentley made trucks, and Toyota Guzzi Racing won't be happy with you saying we make trucks to race. But to answer your question, yes, we have. The BF Goodrich tyre is...
but it is a truck! Okay, well, sorry. My apologies to Toyota-san.
Exactly.
It's not a truck, it's an off-road racing machine.
Cross-country
cross-country beast of a machine. That's... Rob, there's no pressure.
I think if you've ever had the privilege or pleasure to race in a car like that, you will not believe what that tyre can do. The terrain it can handle, the braking, the acceleration is unbelievable. The sidewall is obviously very thick to handle the loads in the corners. The compound is unbelievable. But yes, we've done some more testing this year, and they've brought a different tyre. We've got another rim. So we had a few issues this year with the tyre coming off the rim. You know, in Peru the sand is so soft, so you need to run the tyre pressure lower. But we've handled that problem.
So Gary, I've learned my lesson. I'm never going to call it a truck again. It's a serious cross-country racing machine. Some interesting stuff that comes out of there talking to Rob. And by now he's proper nervous because he's making the transition from being a co-driver to being
in control of one thing. Now he's in control of a couple of things.
So now he's watching what he used to do. And earlier, one of the messages that he sent through was that he said it's amazing when you used to going into these crowds and everybody was wanting your signature and photographs and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And now he's just Rob in a racing shirt. And now all the South Americans, when you go past them and you're in a racing shirt, they just want a shirt, cap, and they'll strip you naked if it's got any clothing with anything to do with Dakar, which Gary at certain times might be advantageous.
Correct.
Because depending who the Chiquita is, he's doing the... Right, so let's hold on, guys. Let's get a little bit serious. Couple of things. So now they all queued up, waiting to go in. They've got about another 20-odd minutes. They queued up. They've done the torque checks of the wheel nuts because they're really, really nervous about what's happening now. More importantly is they check the fuel and the levels of the fuel And you remember in which was the workshop? Oh, it was Terence Marsh's workshop.
Yeah.
Where they use a stick. It's got little marks stuck on it, and that's the most accurate way of working out how many of the liters of the you've got filled in. So it's absolutely oh man, I love it. This is nervous because what are they going to? I was wrong earlier. I said that Peter Hansel was the first car. It's King Carlos in 301. So the running order of them. Sorry, 300. Thanks, Gary. At least one of us is focusing. Hey, well done, Brew. I'm so proud. Like your hat. What does it say there? Oh, it's Autobahn. Oh, great partners. Did you see what I did there?
No.
Terry, did you see what I did there?
Oh, God.
Because I know he's watching. Because he always watches.
Yeah, well, I can see he's online.
Terry Brand from Autobahn is a great fan of anything with I nearly said some words, Gary, but then I remembered with tyres.
Behave yourself.
Yeah, with tyres. But
Yeah.
there was something that goes with tyres. I won't go there. Right. Car number
Nitrogen.
Let's just go through this. Car number 300 is Carlos Sainz. Car number 301 is Nasser Al Attiyah. And 302 is Janelle de Villiers. Did you see that picture of Janelle?
Yes.
People have been going on about, Janelle, wow. And he's steady and slow. And maybe I was one who didn't believe that he's got the hunger. I saw a picture of him from last night.
Yeah.
He is skinny as...
The boy's been working out.
Gary, he's hungry.
Yeah.
In more ways than one. He's skinny as hell. He's looking fit as a robber's dog. Don't discount Janelle out. And in particular this stage. And we'll talk a little bit about this stage. 303 is Przgonski.
Yes.
Our Polish friend who's in a Mini.
Yeah.
In a bug, he's in a four-wheel drive buggy. And then we're 305 is
It's
304.
your writing. I can't see it.
Cyril
Cyril. Dupré.
Desprez. 305 is Martin Prokop in a Ford. It's nominally a Ford. It's got a Ford engine. It's whatever. 6 is Sebi Loeb in the factory. I'm not allowed to call it a factory Peugeot, but I'm going to call it a factory Peugeot. 7 is Nanny Roma. Actually not. 304. I can't read my writing. If you can read the writing, Gary.
Terry Brand says, yes, I did. Just quickly.
Cool. And welcome to Bob.
Bob.
Bob the man.
Yeah. One of our biggest fans.
I like Bob.
Yeah.
Bob makes racing cars go faster and off-road cars go faster. So what are they doing now? They've done the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
They've checked the tire pressures.
Correct.
They gone for a wee and possibly a dump.
They're probably just about finishing. No, are they? Or have they finished the liaison stage?
They've done the liaison.
Okay.
They lined up just before where the guy gives them the countdown.
Okay, cool.
There's a whole lot of nervous Twitter drivers chatting to each other. I've seen this. I'm just trying to paint you a picture. If we had live cameras, it would be magnificent. Gary, I think we need to talk to production next year to get us live cameras at the start of every stage. I think it would be brilliant. So we can catch that behind the scenes banter of stuff's going down. Fuel, tire pressures, bonnet clips done. George Smallberger, always check your bonnet clips, George. He's the guy. George is famous for leaving his bonnet clips undone. And then smashing his windscreen and all the rest of it. So he will always be Bonnet Smallberger from now on. There's a 2-minute gap and they go into the stage and smack straight into the dunes. Now, a lot of us don't understand what the sand is really like. We've
actually got a video which we'll play tomorrow.
Yeah, but I don't like that video because it doesn't show some of the stuff that...
I've got a video.
Okay. So we go to the beach and we think that this is sand. And we go crunch, 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 and it feels all soft and what. But this is more sand than beach sand. It's desert sand. And then in the desert sand, the fines, the very, very fine sand, this is sand that has been blown on top of each other over gazillions of years. It's eroded and it's ground it's ground to consistency of...
Is it really like a talcum powder or baby powder? Yeah.
So you smack this and the car digs down into it And if you haven't got the wheels driving now, my hands-free kit, I love it. The part of the thing with the power and the response on these cars is to get the immediate response, which brings you the torque, which gives you the power. And we can have this debate about torque and power. I'd love to do that. Torque does nothing. It is mere
Of?
power does everything.
Oh, okay.
Power is at work over time.
So when I talk with power, you don't listen.
Yeah, you do, because you shout and then I shut down and I go. Right, so they arrive, and when in some of and there are pockets of the sand that it's really soft, and the car digs down, and you can hear this thing bellowing at a low gear, second and third gear, bellowing with all 450 odd. Sorry, they're supposed to have 300 horsepower. They all quote 300 horsepower, but they've got a little bit more than that. And when you hear that Lexus motor sitting at 6.5 grand in the sand, just being, and it's working hard, and there's a whole lot of digging. So there's mechanical action of squishing the sand out.
Okay.
And getting the car, and the driver searching for, not going up the dune straight, because you've now got, if you've got an angle like this and you're trying to go up the dune like this, you're fighting a big angle, and gravity's a bitch and it will always pull you down. But if you try and drive up the dune sort of diagonally, you've got less of a maths and science. So maths is all about triangles, and if you move sideways like this down the dune or across the face of the dune, you've got less of a vertical component, so effectively you're making the dune less steep.
Okay.
So you can go faster up the dune.
All right.
The trick is to make sure that when you get to the crest, that you carry just enough speed to go over it and not enough speed
to jump it.
I was reviewing some of the desert driving techniques, and Jacopini, one of the Argentinians from 2 years ago, brilliant guy, he'd only driven a 1600 rally car. He does this jump in a dune. Now he's showing off. He's in Argentina and Oaks are. And he does this jump and the car flies and it lands. And it lands straight up like gunk.
That's the guy that looked like he was doing a nose stand in the sand.
It's Jacopini.
Oh, okay.
So the car's buried in the sand and it's standing vertical, 1800 kilograms, standing like this. So you've got to pull it down. So you want to go over the dune fast enough to carry you over. And as a driver, you see sky, and you look out there, and you can kind of see where the top is. Go over the top, and then find a way to ski this car down, all the while scanning the ground, looking for, is there a hard spot?
Okay. Is there hard spots in those dunes? Do they find it, or is it mostly right down the bottom of the dune?
There's a hard spot everywhere, as the actress said to the bishop. So
yesterday was Sunday, not today.
So yes, there are hard spots, and particularly depending on the time of day, and it does get difficult to see. So they're going into the sand. It's only a racing. I had some notes. They did a 347k liaison, and they're going to race 84ks. Now, 84ks is a little bit longer than, as an opening stage, is a little bit longer than the stages they've done in previous years. Previous years it was okay, well, we don't want to have a go, because you don't want to really open the road, and you want to see how fast is Sebi, are the minis really quick? So there's all these questions that nobody knows, and the guys are sort of looking at each other and wondering how fast they really are, and who's done their testing, who's sorted what out, and there's so many things that you don't know. So they know what they don't know. Now, going into this race, they've got 2-minute starts. So your running order is Carlos Nasser, Janil Przgonski, and Bernard ten Brink is out of the top 10, which is actually in some ways good for him, because he's got some time to see where it goes. Nasser is going to go and chase Carlos, and the wisdom that comes out of Peru this morning says that probably what you want to do is finish 4th, 5th, 6th
Yeah.
somewhere around about there on the stage, so that tomorrow you go into the 350k stage with no tracks. So you got to open the stage if you on the first car on the road. So you don't want to open. Tomorrow you've got bigger gaps so that you can close. There's no worry about dust. You're going to be in the desert. There's no worry about not being able to pass. What we don't know is the level of difficulty that the organizers have screwed into the navigation. So the navigation is not just about to go from the beginning to the end.
So at each waypoint, they got to go and find it because
And a waypoint-
it's an imaginary spot.
Yes, it's a GPS position, but just think of a stick in the sand. You've got to run up to the stick in the sand and touch it if you're playing ball game or
Yeah.
stick and sand on the beach. The car's got to get sometimes within 75 meters of an imaginary point in the middle of a desert. And all they've done is they've said to you, Brew, go there, and then at 100 meters or 20 kilometers from here, turn right and head at this degree and you'll get there.
At that point in time, is there something in the car that actually switches something on to give you that
Yeah, you
location to get just about on
So
spot?
if the beacon is here,
Yeah.
just think of it, and then bigger circles that go out. And at various distances, so all the cars have got proper sat nav and GPS and all that stuff installed in the cars, but they turned off.
So you got to get to within a certain
You've got a
distance
compass,
of a waypoint
you've got a
to activate it.
You've got
Okay.
a compass and you've got distance. And then when you get to a point in the close to the waypoint, the GPS wakes up
Okay.
and it's got an arrow. And the arrow will just point and it'll tell you the numbers of the heading that you've got
Okay,
to go
cool.
to.
Okay.
And then you've got to drive in that heading, which is hell of a easy if the road is flat. But it isn't flat. There's dunes for days, and you've got to climb them. You're crisscrossing. You're going up. It's not easy.
Okay, just another question. If that is the case, once they go past the point, the equidistant past that waypoint, then that GPS
And
will
it
shut
turns
down.
off.
Okay. Makes
So,
sense.
so you get to the point.
Okay.
So you get to far away from, or far away. It might be 3 kilometers and it'll turn on. It might be 1 kilometer and turn on, depending on how nasty the organizers are going to be. So you get there and you go to the waypoint, and when you get to it, it goes ping, well done, you've collected that
Okay.
waypoint, good on you, and here is the heading for the next
Waypoint.
place.
All right.
Not so much the next waypoint, but the next navigational point. So you've now got your new heading. If you don't get that, you don't open the
Yeah.
new heading, you don't really know where you go, unless you've got all sorts of ancillary navigational systems in the cars, like possibly a German and a French team had last year. Some say that they had this. I'm not saying anything. So you need to get to the point, it pings you that you've collected that waypoint and you move on. If you miss a waypoint, you get a penalty.
Okay.
Simple as that. So by now they're getting, Gary, let's just check the time here.
Okay.
They are 10 minutes away from it. They're probably getting strapped in and getting ready to go. I'm excited as hell. They're going into the sand. Who knows what the strategy is going to be? We'll know it probably in about 3 hours' time.
Okay, just
The game of high-speed chess will
Yeah.
play out.
See,
Awesome.
I've been left to do this part, so I'm just for the biker boys.
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
no, no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no, no,
yes.
no, no, just let me
This
give
oak.
let me give them an update.
I
Joe,
know.
quickly. Okay,
No, this oak.
okay, go with that.
No, you go with it. You're the buck guy. I know
Okay, fine,
nothing.
fine. Guys, the bikers, the first 6, when I say first, on the road, the first 6 bikes on the road are through what they call the ASS, which is the end of the stage. But this is the unofficial placement. At waypoint 3, the first South African in was Kenny Gilbert on his Husqvarna. And at waypoint 3, he was provisionally 4th place after starting in position 40. As I say, these are provisional. All right. The next.
But remember, the bike
yeah.
started reverse grid. Eh?
Yeah. Okay. Then the next one through was Stuart Gregory. After waypoint 2, he's in provisional 31st position after starting 51st. But as I say, these are provisional because The faster bikes, the real big boys, haven't even started the stage yet.
It might be, instead of talking positions, should we? Do you want to give Stuart and them the time gap that they were behind at waypoint 3? Because that kind of gives you an idea.
All right. To give you some idea, if I take Kenny Gilbert, okay, at waypoint 2, he was 06.08.
So that's 6 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah, off the current leader on the road. Okay, it's not the fastest bike on the road. It's the current leader on the road. The current leader,
which is the fastest biker on the road.
at that
on the
day,
road.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
on the road is meaning Rory.
And Stuart Gregory was 13 seconds behind him.
Minutes.
So they're 30 minutes behind him. So no, that's seconds. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because minutes would be, so you get 0.13 is seconds. 0.5 is hundredths of a second. Okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you see, because what it's done is taken him roughly an hour and 50 minutes to complete the special stage.
Gary, those double O's are hours, that's minutes, and the last thing is seconds. There's no hundreds here.
He wins.
No, it's just sometimes it gets a bit, the timing systems are
Okay.
whatever. So they count in full seconds.
Yeah.
So it's magnificent. They've started. Guys, we've spoken enough. Go and do your thing, and we'll be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock. If there are questions that you've got, if there are issues that you want us to, we've got some contacts inside. Rob Howie has agreed to let us ask him some questions, and he's promised to answer. If you want to know some stuff, let us know. And also, we're planning a live show, a live audience show here at Mug and Bean in Broadacres. And if you're interested in coming to join us, let us know. We will have some stuff.
Yeah, it's what they call, you just go on to iLab, send us a direct message that you're keen to join us for the show, and we'll put it together and we'll make it all happen.
So far we've got we've only got 1,227 spots, and at the moment it's filling up fast. So let Gary know. No, carry on. Production told me.
Yeah.
So guys, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, day 2 of Dakar, when we'll know a little bit more. And oh man, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll have, because of the way today is gone, tomorrow we'll have better updates. We'll understand exactly who's exactly in the time frames. In other words, we'll have a better understanding of how the race is. We'll have some different graphics for you. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Colin, thank you for a great show. To all of you people online, I will answer a lot of things that we haven't answered so far. We'll answer them in the comments. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Thanks
Cheers.
guys. Cheers.